Hi, my name is Carl and I've got a bikepacking channel that does adventures all around New Zealand, and one day I aspire to even travel overseas doing bikepacking. And while I've been doing bikepacking, I've been using various different camping gear, but I've just recently moved over to using the Naturehike tent. And this review today is on the Naturehike Mongar2 tent. Now I use this tent when I travel with my wife, the length of the South Island, so 1,500 kilometers. And while doing that, I had a lot of questions about this tent. And the main thing people wanted to know is how well it was hanging in there. You know, how well this tent was doing compared to its main sort of brand competitors. So this tent is made by Naturehike. It's extremely well priced. So I bought it in New Zealand for $250 delivered. That's 145 US dollars. And that's a fraction of what it would cost for some of the mainstream brands. So this tent weighs around 2.2 kilos as it is now with the footprint and everything, and has a length of 400 millimeters, 40 centimeters. So it gives you an idea of how much space you're going to need on your bike, assuming you're going to pack it like I have with the poles inside the bag. So anyway, without mucking around anymore, let's have a look at what's in the bag and how we go at setting it up. Okay, so first off, the whole thing is secured with a nice strap. This is how I packed it up. You have your fly. The fly is made out of a 20D nylon with silicone coating, and I've slept in this particular tent maybe 20 times, somewhere around there, 16 times. We've been in the rain, we've been in the wind, and it hasn't missed a beat. Not a drop of water has got in. It's held up extremely well. So you get the fly. You get the aluminium poles with all of the bungee cords packing them together, and as I said, they're 40 centimeters long, so that's about as small as you're going to pack down the tent unless you separate the poles out. You get the aluminium pegs, enough pegs to do all of the corners of the tent, and the guy ropes as well. So these pegs are really well made. Actually, they've done extremely well. They've got a little rope pull on them, which is great for pulling them out when you're packing up. The only thing I will warn you about, and I'll probably mention this again, is kicking these when they're in the ground. They've got sharp corners on them. I almost feel like I want to put a rubber bouncy ball or something on them just to protect myself. And this is because I have cut my foot open working on the tent. I'm in jandals today, safety jandals, so hopefully I'll be okay. You get a footprint, so the ground sheet, the bit that goes under the tent to protect it. This is included in the price, and a lot of the high-end tents sell that as an extra. And then you get the main tent, so built-in ground sheet and the mesh. So let's set it up. First step is to lay down the ground sheet. If it was windy, I would be pegging this down now, but it's not. So I'm going to show you a quicker way of setting the tent up. So put the ground sheet down. Then, so when you're thinking about the ground sheet going down, your doors are on your left and right, and your head is at one end. I normally like to have my I either lie flat or have my head slightly raised. So we've got that right. Lay the tent on top of the ground sheet and line up the corner tabs. Now doing this as one means it's a lot quicker when you're putting the poles together and connecting it all up. Grab your poles, give them a wriggle. They usually all sort of snap in place. Alright, you've done it. The spider is assembled. Alright, lay it down on top of the tent. And then go to each corner and insert the poles through through both eyelets at once. This is why it's quicker to do it this way than it is to do the ground sheet in the upper tent. You do have to bend the poles slightly to get them into all the holes. And this next bit is a little bit tricky because you're having to bend it into place. So I raise the pole slightly. Good so far. And then the final step into the final corner. Now I find this a good time to be looking at the ground sheet. Now when you've sort of got the ground sheet down and everything, you can actually sort of see the lay of the land a little bit more than what you can when there's grass there. It all looks good. Next step, throw some pegs into the corner. And you put them through the 2 ropes and then push them into the ground. I'm just going to tack them in for now. So this is connecting the ground sheet and the tent inner to the ground. Now connect up each of these little clips onto the poles. Walking around the tent now is when you have to be really careful not to kick those pegs. Alright, next step is to connect this spreader pole. So the spreader pole goes into these little red eyelets on the tent. Put the first one in place, hope it stays there. Look to the other side. They can be a little bit tight. Alright, so the tent right now is actually ready if you wanted to use this undercover somewhere, if it was just to keep the bugs out. You're all good to go. It's a self-supporting tent, which means we can move it once we're set up if we want to. Alright, so now we get our fly and some sort of waterproof protection. Now with the fly, the easiest way to tell which way it should be is by looking at the Naturehike writing. If you can see it and it's black, you've got it the wrong way. The black bit goes on the inside. You should be looking at the sort of the black labelling through the other side. So the writing is the right way, I guess. Use the wind in your favour if you have some. Okay, so I'd say the first step, what I like to do, is to flick the door over the other side, find the other little red eyelet that goes onto this spreader pole and put it onto one of the poles. Pull it tight, hope it stays on there, and do the same on the other. Alright, now go around each of the corners, connecting up the clips. And now peg down the rest of the tent. Okay, so pull out the end of the tent, peg that in place. I've already tied the guy ropes on, there's a guy rope at each end. So I usually put this peg about 30 centimeters behind the other one. Easy to do now, not so easy to do in the middle of the night when the wind picks up. Loosen off the guy ropes. As I said, I'm only tacking the pegs down, you'd be pushing them in a lot further than this. It is the end of summer, the ground is rock hard here. Alright, that looks good. Those are taking a little bit of the tension without warping the shape of the tent. At each end of the tent is a little flap here. If it was raining, you might want to close that off and velcro it up. Or if it's cold, but normally I'm in summer, so I use this little pole that comes with it, keep it to the velcro. That holds that little flap open, just gives you a bit of wind flow through the tent. Let's do the same at the other end. Okay, the next step and last step really is the door. So with the door, a couple of things you want to take into consideration. Normally I want this door to act as a wind guard if there's a rain being driven in a certain direction, and to provide privacy. So if the wind was coming from over here or I wanted privacy from over there, I would peg this side. If it was coming from the other side or I wanted privacy from the other side, I would peg this one. In this case, let's pretend the wind's coming from over there, so I'm going to peg this door on the left. So grab the little tie for the left, It's important to keep the tent, the door closed at this stage, otherwise you won't really know where you're putting tension. So you want the tension to be nice and even. Get that peg in, and same on the other side. That's the tent all assembled, so it's quite a nice symmetrical shape. See, it's quite tight and sort of evenly stretched all over. The guide ropes help a bit with that as well. And it's got two vestibules, or one on either side and a door on either side, which makes it fantastic when there's two of you, you're not having to climb over each other, and you've got your own space for your gear. So let's have a look at this side. Let's roll this back. There's a little tie here. Get the door back. And then the door itself has a double zip and can be rolled back as well. I'll throw some mattresses in there and we can get an idea of size. So I'm using the Naturehike mattresses as well. Again, well priced, quality is good. I'm not sure they're the most comfortable. I need a little bit more thickness, I think. But anyway, judgment is out on what I should be using there. But this is a good opportunity for me to show you another gadget that I've added to the packing list, and that is the Flextail Tiny Pump 2. So I had an immediate problem, which was well, not a problem, but I wanted a light that I could hang inside the tent, and not my headlight torch, because that sort of just went straight down. So the Flextail 2X actually has a light built into it, so you hold down the button and it gives you a light with 3 different brightness settings, and also it's a pump. Now this electric pump weighs the same amount as the dry bag that came with this, and packs down smaller. So we just connect it on, double click, stand back and let the magic happen. So big vestibule, enough for you to put your bag and your shoes and your helmet, because obviously it extends to this side. And when we look inside, not a massive amount of space, like enough for 2 people, but not much for all of your gear. At either end of the tent you have a little pocket you can put things in, down here as well. And above the top of the tent you have a hanging mesh that you can throw a mobile phone in, or I normally put my torch in there. And there is a hook, and that's exactly where I want to put the Flextail. So it's just going to hang from there, and I have to remember, is this double click or no, single click. So nice and easy. We have light in our tent. Now I'm 6 foot tall. What's that, 153 or something like 183? I've got heaps of leg room. I've got heaps of headroom in here, no matter which way I was to be, either at one end back here or in the middle. Yeah, really well put together tent. And I guess, you know, you could easily sit in the doorway here and cook and things if you had to as well. So very happy, very comfortable, well put together tent. So in summary, I would definitely recommend the tent. I would say the only con with it is when I'm getting in and out of it, I find that I can't really do that without like tying back this door, which takes a bit of time, or pushing my way through the nylon and getting quite wet, you know, because there's usually condensation on there. That's a minor, you know, it's not the biggest tent, you know, you're going to expect some sort of downsides. But the quality, the look of it, the colour I chose, I really like. And it always brings a smile to my face when I use it. I didn't mention there are sort of these tie downs on the corners as well, which allow you to adjust the tent once it's put together. So no, that was putting the tent up. We'll have a quick look at how I pack the tent up again and where I store it on my bike. Okay, for packing up, you want to fold everything into thirds. The reason for this is that is the length of the poles. So we'll start with the main sort of tent body. Okay, we can move that out of the way to the ground sheet. I like to fold the ground sheet in on itself, that way not transferring the dirt from the ground onto the tent. A lot easier to do this with 2 people, especially if it's windy. Okay, we've got our ground sheet in thirds, our tent in thirds. Lie them on top of each other, they should be the same size. Then get the fly. This is like a fitted sheet. There's no nice way of folding this. I just tend to lie it on there and try and spread it as evenly as possible and get all the guy ropes and things in there. Alright, then grab your poles, put them at one end of the tent and start rolling. And then once you get a feel for, looks like my left hand side is going to be a bit thicker, I put the pegs on the right then and carry on rolling until we get to the end. It's going well. Tuck everything in, and there's your tent packed up. And then it comes with a strap around it so that it doesn't unroll. Now, how I store this on my bike. Inevitably with bike packing, you're up too early and everything's covered in condensation and you're putting it away wet. I realise you could waste a lot of time trying to dry your tent out. In the morning, you're better off drying it at the end of the day. So I bought a 13 litre light Cedar Summit bag. I'm going to put my tent in that. This is a new edition. Get the air out of it. It only just fits, no more. Could have done a better job at getting the air out of that. Okay, and then I take my mat. Now the reason I want the tent sort of, I'm using the dry bag here to keep the water in, not to keep the water out. Because I wrap my mattress and my tent into one roll. So fold your mattress up, start at the end which doesn't have the valve, so the valve's at the other end, and I roll my tent up. I usually roll my inflatable pillow in here as well. And as you're rolling it, it's pushing all the air out of your mattress. That's why it's important to have the valve at the far end. Okay, that's all wrapped up. I have another strap. You could just use a Velcro strap that I put round the tent and the mattress together. Right, and then we just pop the whole thing into this dry bag. That then goes straight onto the front of the bike. Anyway, I hope this review was of use to you. I'm really happy with the Mongar2 tent. If you're interested, check out my Cloud Up 1 tent review, which I'll put out at the same time. Thank you.